Hello, we're Mickey and Jason. We're going to give you a little tour of our acreage. We have about 10 acres that we moved into about 1 year ago today. Some people have said they kind of wouldn't mind seeing some videos of the place, seeing what we're doing. We get a lot of people commenting and following and liking our Facebook page for. This is just going to be a real quick tour video. It's going to be kind of a dirty video, just no editing. Just going to walk you around the place and show you some things and talk about what we've done and maybe some of the plans for the future. So we called it Shady Lane Acres. See how shady our lane is. It's our driveway. It was one of the big selling points of our property. You know, you kind of pull in here and a lot of what you were thinking about goes away. It's 10 acres. I think I said that already. And it's about a quarter mile up to the house from the road. We sit in the edge of a cornfield with corn all around us. No neighbors for about a mile. Previous to this, we'd had a house in a town of about 300, about 7-8 miles from a city of 28,000 where we work. This is kind of, it opens up. Got our little wagon. We bought that about day 4 out here. Found it on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Thought, wow, we really need a wagon. So we drove up and got it. Looks real good there. About 100 miles. Surprisingly, it made it back without falling apart. This is our house. When we first moved here, we had a camper parked in the driveway that we lived in for just a shade over a month, I suppose. It wasn't bad. Me and my wife, we get along pretty good most of the time, and I'm not being too stupid. This is our 130-year-old house. It's kind of cute from the outside. It don't look too bad in pictures. It's got a lot of structural issues. Hopefully it stays standing for a few years. Then we'll deal with building a new house, hopefully. Our nice little pergola that the wife decorated. She does a real nice job of making our place homey and feel like a really nice place you want to be at. This is kind of the front yard. Here we have, these are all lilacs there and over here. The lady that lived here before claims they're about 100 years old, I think. They are in serious need of some pruning. That's hopefully a project for one of these weekends. When we first moved in, there was some fencing here. You actually could not walk through this little path. You couldn't even see the house from the road. A lot of friends and family that came out to see the place kept driving by because they didn't know there was even a house here. And then you come out here to what we call the triangle area because it's shaped like a triangle. It's got some kind of grass in it, nice trees. It's pretty open, pretty well taken care of, or pretty decent shape. We have some nice sycamores and some poplars. We planted 5 more trees that the sprinkler's watering right now. This spring, hopefully they'll make it. They started pretty small bare root trees, so we'll see what happens. So after this wide open area, come over to this side here where there you can see the side of the house. This was all overgrown. I mean, you couldn't see anything here where this open area is at. There was there was actually a lot of metal and fencing, old fencing that wasn't even up. It was rolled up and laying down. There was a clothesline that they'd made out of an old car frame. You know, we just kind of cleaned it all out, cleaned a lot of bushes and trees that were volunteer. We're trying to, we save some when we do it, try to save the healthier ones or spread them out so that more of the trees can give them some space to grow and stuff like that.
Also back here was that building that was half fallen over.
Oh yeah, and the little, it was kind of more over there, wasn't it? It was like we don't know what it was. Basically all that was left was a tin roof and some foundation. And we got it, it looked like it was maybe a water or something, where I don't know what they had there. From these trees here to where these, we believe they're more, what are they?
Lilacs.
Lilacs. Thank you, honey. This was all just overgrown with lilacs. You could not, I mean, you couldn't walk through it, you couldn't see through it. There was a fence that connected from the one corner of the house, and so you couldn't even get in it where there with like a mower or anything like that to even keep it nicer. And they just take it over. So we started cleaning it up, and we actually were thinking that they were just tree saplings. So we started, I was just pulling them up by hand. You know, they were that size, I just pulled them up by hand. We left some because we kind of think they're lilacs, and so they did bloom this year. They did not bloom last year when we were here. We have been on the property since about February of last year, doing small improvements. Like I said, we didn't officially buy it till July, but we didn't want it to get too overgrown over another summer. The previous owner was in her 70s. Her family had been here since 1924. You know, so they really, you know, with their age and their means, they did not have a way to really take care of the place very well. So it had really come into a real state of disrepair. So, like I said, there was a chain link fence that went from that back corner around here, so you couldn't even get in here. And then there was another fence here and another fence over there. There was just fences everywhere, so you couldn't take care of it. You could not manage it. And so we've kind of taken some stuff out, cleaned it up. We've saved a lot of the old fence that wasn't completely rotten because it's old, kind of nice looking old fence. We'll use it in other places. This is the back side of the house. To get everything up in our main bedroom's up in that top spot. The stairs are old stairs, so they're 2 foot wide. They curve, and the tread on them's about 8 inches wide. So later you'll probably see the skid steer we have. We had to got forks for it. Had to put our bed on it and the dressers, and we'd lift everything up onto that roof of the utility room, the flat roof, and we'd take it in through that little door that we got. We covered it up over the winter to try and help some of the draft, and that's how we got stuff upstairs, because it ain't going up the stairs. So that's kind of the house and stuff like that. Eventually we think maybe we'll build a new house kind of back here. At one time we kind of was thinking about trying to save this house, but the structure is just too far gone. There's too much foundation damage from years of neglect, and it's the woman who lived here before claims that this was brought in like 1920 by a team of Clydesdales from 5 or 6 miles to the north. I don't know. But we're kind of thinking the new house might kind of go over here so we can look out that way, a little walkout basement that way, maybe clear some things out so we can see to the west also, because you can see a pretty nice sunset from there, or sunrise in the mornings there. The sunset's not so much, but we'd like to get to where we can see something like that.
Also, you can tell that we are completely surrounded by cornfields. So anything that we do obviously is going to be super private. And so we want to be able to have a 3 viewing room so we can see all the way around us.
So if you kind of look over here, you can see this is what a lot of it looked like. We haven't really done much. I actually have cleared out a few trees out of that, but it's just, you know, 10, 20 trees growing up in 10 square feet, and they just choke each other out, break their limbs off. It's just not healthy. And this little area here, we call it the bistro. Kind of my joke to my wife, because she put her little chairs out here and a little table. And we cleaned it. Looked a lot like that. Get over there, and we cleaned it out, you know, and it's a nice little shaded area. We love to hear the wind blow through the cottonwood trees. Thank you, honey. And we got there's an elm over here, and this one's a hackberry. And it keeps, you know, it's a nice, cute little sitting area. You know, but this is kind of an example of what we've gone from to, and that's you know, we're working on that. There's a lot of places like that. But this, yeah, you didn't know there was concrete here. You know, there was 10 trees around the concrete that I cut out and cleaned it up. You know, over here, kind of the same way. There was 3 or 4 trees growing up. You couldn't hardly see this. Well, they built a little shed around the windmill. It's kind of neat. I've not really ever seen that around here. This is our windmill. Like I say, this was one thing we cleaned up pretty early on. Hopefully someday I'll be able to have somebody come out and restore my windmill so it's a little more operational. It's kind of a neat little feature. I'll definitely leave the bullet holes in the fan in the back, but I'd like the sails fixed. But one of the first things, my wife fixed this up all nice. Put the rocks and the wood chips, keeps the weeds down. As you come down the driveway, it's one of the first things you see, so it's kind of dressing it up, really made it kind of nice. It's just something to see, something you could see that you made a difference. Here's the other side of the house, the west side, and I was talking, there was a fence. What was it? First fence was like right about here.
Yeah.
And so there was a fence here that went up there, up to the house, and then it went that way, and there was just so much stuff. You couldn't get a mower in. You couldn't. I mean, we still haven't got it cleaned up all that great, but you almost could not see the house. Hopefully, I'll get some other pictures in. You know, some of our before pictures. Unfortunately, we probably should have started filming this a year ago when we started this.
We were looking back on Facebook today, and they show your memories, and we forgot how bad it was. It was crazy, but
yeah, and that was, yeah. So this is how bad this is. It looks bad now, but boy, it was really something before. Like I say, it's kind of dressed up. We put Christmas lights on the little barbed wire wreath in the summer or at Christmas time and stuff like that. She puts wreaths on the buffalo head. And this was all overgrown with stuff. And it's getting to where we can maintain it. That's a lot of it, just keeping things maintained. Oh, the garden sprinklers are on. This is our rhubarb and strawberry patch. I think in the future video we'll probably show more. We'll show the garden in a little more detail. This is our second attempt at gardening in our entire life. The first time it lasted about 3 weeks and I ran the mower through it because we were done with it. So we were probably 20 years younger and our kids were pretty young and it took a lot of our time. We are 40 in our mid 40s, 46 now. Our kids are all grown out of the house. We have 3 older children, 21 to 27, 6 years old. They thought we were pretty nuts when we sold our 3,200 square foot house. It did sit on about 2 acres in a little town, and moved to a 900 square foot house on 10 acres. And it was something when we first bought it. It was a lot. It was pretty scary. It was quite a leap of faith for us to actually do this.
So now we're going to show you, when we keep saying that it's overgrown, like you can't even imagine, but like this area right here, this is kind of what a lot of the property look like. It's just back there is probably another 4 acres of just overgrown trees that hopefully we will get through someday. But that's what a lot of that property behind the house looked like, and it's just taken a while, obviously.
See this, we think it was her garden, and she had it fenced off, and there's some raised beds in there, and we actually think there might be a couple fruit trees in there. We can't really tell what they are, but she has this fencing. Well, the birds land on it, they poop, and the seeds fall, and then you can't get the trees cut out, and then they just, you know, all the fence lines have these trees like this just growing crazy. And we'll probably leave every 3rd tree or something, or 4th, kind of thin these out to leave the trees. As we bought it for the trees. We wanted a place with established, you know, trees.
Not that much. Ooh,
Well,
there's a kerfuffle going on.
Back in February, we got 10 chickens and 4 ducks. And then about a month later, we wanted some silkies, so we got a 3-year-old hen and 6 chicks. And so that's what we have now. We mostly got them last year. The ticks, you'd walk out and you'd have 10 ticks climbing on you. Now it seems like I really haven't had very many ticks at all this year. It's been way better, and that's mostly what were bought for, was for tick control and bug control, and they really seem to be doing a pretty decent job of it. If you look over here, it's kind of some decorations my wife did there with some existing posts and stuff. I thought that turned out really nice.
He says wife did, but I have the ideas and I make him do all the work.
That's
So
fine.
that's usually how it works.
She's the brains, I'm the brawn.
This is the side and front of the house. This is mainly where Jason and I spend a lot of our time, and obviously back towards the garden area, just because it's the most open area, and obviously it's the most peaceful area out here as well.
This is our chicken coop, and it's got to run. Really, the chickens have free reign of the whole 10 acres pretty much all day, every day, except for we got an automatic chicken door, opens at about 6 o'clock, shuts about 10. They've been pretty good about getting in here. We got it because we do leave on camping trips for a few days here and there, and other stuff.
What this is, it used to be an old shed garage, but obviously cars back in the day were a lot thinner than cars that we have now. So we have it as mainly just a spot to store some of our smaller equipment that we have on the left, and then on the right there's a wall that goes between it, and so the right side is where we do have the chickens at. So
it's about 8 foot by 10 or 12 foot. So it's pretty good size. And like I say, they're not in it all that much. They're just chomping at the bit to get out when that door opens at 6.
and we actually just got our first eggs yesterday. We
Yeah,
got
I
our
found-
first egg.
We found 1 egg yesterday and 1 egg today. I think the silky hen is laying, and then we're not sure what the other one is. So I really don't think the chicks are old enough to really be laying, so it almost must be a duck. But we're not sure. It's not very big. So here's our corn crib. It's just mostly storage right now. I don't know. Unfortunately, most of these buildings are in pretty bad shape. They weren't really kept right, so they'd leak and they're lean. You know, trees. You might see later in the video, there's a tree growing into the side of this one, which has actually pushed it clear to the left or right, whatever way you're looking at it. You know, and then the roof's bad and they leak, and then it rots the wood. What eventually we might do is we'd like to tear them down, but we'd like to put up buildings that are kind of in the same style, so it keeps the same feel, because that is what we bought it for. We like it the way it is. In here is an old train car. No idea how they got it in here. I think they used to keep pigs in it. There was some fencing here. This is kind of overgrown because I haven't been able to get in and get the deadfall. I mean, that besides the trees being so thick, there's a lot of trees that have fallen over the years and just been left. And so we can't get mowers in, and we can't get other things in. We're slowly working on it, because what we're kind of standing in here now, did look like that. So, I mean, as you can tell, it's getting better. It's just going to take, it took 40 years for it to get in this condition. It's going to take us more than one to get it out of it. So we do have tons of mulberry trees. I suppose once you get one, it don't take long for them to spread.
There's the mama Silky and her babies. She's so cute.
The chickens are quite the entertainment.
Here's the rail car from the other side as well. That is definitely going to be a chore to get that out. And we do plan on getting it out because obviously we want to open everything up and we want more paths.
And it's just falling down. I mean, you can see it's leaning, it's falling apart. It's just, if we don't get it out of here, it's just going to rot away to nothing. And at least now we can salvage some of the wood for some projects and stuff like that. Like I say, you can see we've made this path back in here. We used to have to walk clear around to get back to the back shop area. And so, like I say, It takes a lot, but we've actually made quite a bit of progress. Even like this little area here, this was one of the first areas we cleaned up also. I think these are mostly hackberry trees, but this was, I mean, this was just thick as thick could be.
It looked all like this.
Yeah, and so we got them cleaned up. I can mow around it. I have kind of messed up since. I got a pile of dirt there that's in the way, kind of making it hard to keep it as clean as we had it at one time. So these are kind of our grain bins. Eventually we'd like to turn them into benzebos for family gatherings, you know, family reunions, stuff like that. So this little area here where there was all fencing here too. We couldn't get in here. It was 5 foot tall grass and weeds. Fence kind of went along like this. But after we got it cleaned out, last year I planted turnips. I sowed turnips and clover here, hoping for a deer plot. We do have several deer on the property we see quite often. See them a lot in my game cameras. But the turnips really took off. It was kind of crazy actually, did not expect that. And then they lived all through the winter and we let them go to seed. I'm kind of hoping they come back. Whether or not it works, I don't know, but it'd sure be nice if I kind of have a sustainable deer plot. The clover come back in the spring, and so it seems like it's working. And back here's kind of it's the shop area. It's a little more open. I suppose nice little 40 by 40 shop I'd been dreaming about all my life.
Everyone keeps telling us how come we're not putting our house back here, that this is the ideal location for it. But I'm like, this area back here is completely covered and you don't get to see any views. Like
it's kind of closed in. I mean, it's not bad. It's open, like open here, but it's really, to me, it's closer to the road. It's closer to the field. It's just not quite as...
Also too, as you can hear, there's a car going by right now and you're not able to hear that or hear any of that stuff up by where the house is at now. And also the house right now is on the highest part of the property. So obviously water reasons for that as well.
Yeah. We still have some extra junk around.
As all of you know, that when you buy a farm, you inherit everybody else's stuff that they left and didn't want to take with them or couldn't take with them, because most of the time on farms people are passing away or going into nursing homes. So
at least around here it is.
Yeah, around here. But yeah, so we have a lot of the stuff that we either tried to pile in sections, so like wood here, metal here, but a lot of it is just stuff that we just still need to get rid of.
Yeah, but this it's a nice little back area. It's a little more open. We are going to plant some more trees. Things have died. Like I say, it gets so overgrown that it chokes their trees out. I think they've had a couple small fires that have damaged some of the trees. We're working on maybe putting in another row of trees back here to kind of buffer us a little bit more from the road and stuff like that. Because that's about the only place that really gets open. We do need to clean up around the shop. We need to get those trees out before they damage the shop. We want to get on that anyway so that we can get a couple lean-tos added to the shop for the camper and for a place to split wood is what we're thinking. We do heat our home with wood in the winter. As you can tell, we have plenty of it. So, like if you kind of, how thick this side of we call it the forest. There's kind of a forest on each side of the driveway, and this side's way thicker than the other side. I think a lot of it has to do, I think there's more pine trees on this side, but it's pretty thick. We're just, we're slowly trying to weed it out and stuff like that. We got to get the fencing down so we can get in there without killing ourselves tripping over stuff. Like you say, there's more junk there, and this is what we deal with a lot, is they threw junk someplace 30 years ago and now there's this 10-foot tree going through it. It is what it is, and we'll deal with it.
So one of our biggest
this one is our junk.
Yeah. One of our biggest problems that we found, and Jason clears out a lot of our trees. Like you said, we heat our home with wood and stuff, and so there is a huge pile of brush over on the other side over by the garden, but we never thought that would be our biggest problem, is where to get rid of all the stuff. You know, in fact it does stop us from doing more projects, just because we have so much
debris.
Yeah.
And we did try burning some of it, and we burnt a little bit of it, but the problem with that is Alaska, it's either, you know, raining 4 inches a day, you know, and you can't do anything, or it's the wind's blowing 40 miles an hour and it hasn't rained in 6 months. So it's too dry and too dangerous to burn. That's kind of where we're at on stuff. We'll show you when we do the garden tour one of these days. We'll kind of show you what we got back there. But that's kind of a quick overview of our farm. I say we kind of hesitate to call it a farm because we don't really have any animals. We don't really have any crops. But that's kind of the name that stuck a little bit. Even the people we bought it from called it the farm. And that's just, it is what it is. It's our little slice of heaven, I guess. We honestly have been looking for a place for 25 years, probably even since we were looking for our first house. We kind of always wanted to find a place out in the country, and it's really hard to do in Nebraska, especially something like this that hasn't been plowed under for farm ground, or, you know, torn down. You know, they tear all the trees out and they put up a giant house, you know. But we finally found something that we really like. We're really happy. So we're going to try and take some people along on the journey with us, see if they enjoy it. Got any for improving our videos? Let me know. Like I say, this one's just kind of a quick and dirty one. See what people think, see if we get some subscribers, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.